Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. We have been speaking about Uttar Pradesh and Yogi Adityanath in a lot of our editorials. A lot of my editorials I have spoken about him. I have spoken about the laws, I have spoken about the crime against women in Uttar Pradesh, I have spoken about a lot of things about Yogi Adityanath and his government. Now, a lot of people have written to me saying, a lot of stuff we said is right, and a lot of people have written to me saying that no, there is another side of Yogi Adityanath which I have not been speaking about, and I have only been seeing the crime against women and the law and order situation and so on and so forth. I have not seen other things that Yogi Adityanath has actually done in Uttar Pradesh. ठीक है. What I thought I should go connect with a person who I believe is an authority on Uttar Pradesh politics, fantastic analyst, and he runs his channel called The Public, senior journalist Anand Vardhan Singh, and he runs this program called The Third Eye, very interesting program. I watch it quite regularly. And I've seen his views to be, I believe his views to be very unbiased and very straight and very specific. Let's talk to Mr. Anand Vardhan Singh as to how exactly is UP government faring. Let's get right into the show. Anand Vardhan ji, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me on my editorial. My first question, how is the Yogi government faring? How is Uttar Pradesh running today?
To be honest with you, presently because of this Kisan Andolan, there are a lot of things which will change in the UP politics. Number one, UP can be divided primarily into two broad categories. One is Eastern UP and one is Western UP. Eastern UP has a lot of things in common with the Bihar people. I mean, we have the problems which we face and the problems which Bihar faces is more or less common. Whereas the Western UP is more developed part of Uttar Pradesh, which have a lot of things in common with Haryana, maybe with Punjab and things like that. So first of all, with the recent Kisan agitation, there are certain basic things which is changing. The second part, as far as the Yogi government is concerned, it looks like we had seen a phase in 2007 when Mayawati was in power, and it was generally said that bureaucrats are running the government. It was a general impression, and it was rightly so. I mean, it was called a government run by bureaucrats. A normal MLA, a normal people's representative was not heard. Now, in this government, the same thing is again happening. The average representative of a BJP, I mean, I'm talking of a MLA or a MP, is not heard. It is the bureaucrat who has the last say, and it looks like, and generally it is said, there is one Mr. Sharma has been inducted into UP Vidhan Parishad. He is an ex-IS officer from Gujarat, though he has his roots in UP. It is generally said that he has been brought in here to take care of the bureaucracy part of it, so that Yogi ji is free for his election campaign as a postal boy, and Mr. Sharma takes care of the bureaucracy. This is the ground reality as on day.
So the rumors about Mr. Arvind Sharma being bought over to kind of infuse better management, better administration, possibly take over a lot of power from Yogi ji. Is there any truth in that?
I will take it the other way. Maybe Yogi ji also wants to get rid of it, because in the elections will be due in February 2022. It is less than 11 months now. And in the last 5-6 months, you are already on the election spree. So as far as Yogi ji is concerned, it is not taking some power. Yogi ji is also not very interested in running the state as far as these parts are concerned. He is more happy if he is going for an election campaign. He is more happy if he is going for a party meeting. That he enjoys. One more thing, I mean, because the number game is there, and if you put certain numbers, our viewers will also be in a right perspective. They will be able to understand the thing. What is happening? We have a brute majority in Uttar Pradesh of BJP. Out of 403, we have 325 NDA MLAs.
Correct.
But one should not forget, I will just give you two figures. BSP came in power in 2007 with 206 MLAs. Next election, it was reduced to 80. More than 150% of a major chunk were never returned as MLA. Then 2012, SAPA came, that's Samajwadi Party. We call it SAPA in the
Correct.
local language. Like
Yes.
we call BJP as Bhajpa.
Correct.
So SAPA came with 224 MLAs. Next election, 2017, they were reduced to 47. Now, BJP was 312. They have 312 MLAs on BJP ticket and another 13 MLAs on Apna Dal and that Rajbhar party. So it is not very certain that BJP cannot sit very comfortably that they have 325, so they can also slip to less than 100. You cannot deny this fact.
And does it seem to be happening?
I will now, to make things more comfortable and easy, I will just work on the four major parties which are there in UP, BJP, SP, BSP and Congress. So, though Congress has only 7 MLAs, not much of a force, but still, Priyanka Gandhi is touring UP a lot. They have their own, Congress has some inherent strength for UP. So, we'll discuss it. First of all, I will come to BJP. Now, BJP, the biggest strength is they are always poll ready. Their organization at the grassroots level, their organization of their booth management, all these things, they are absolutely fine. There is no one, in near vicinity who can match BJP as far as the organization part is concerned. But the biggest weakness which BJP today is facing is the control of the executives and bureaucrats, which are making them unpopular because even their own MLAs and MPs are not getting a fair hearing, I will say. Secondly, there is another factor which is an underlying factor. And that factor is, there is no Brahmin chief minister in Uttar Pradesh since 89. Narayan Dutt Tiwari was the last Brahmin chief minister. In between, two major castes of UP, Brahmin and Rajputs. Rajputs had two chief ministers, and that too in the BJP regime, Rajnath Singh and now Yogi. Now, one must understand, Yogi from his hometown, Gorakhpur, has a very long, it has a history of about 50-60 years. These two communities, Rajput and Brahmins, were at daggers drawn in Gorakhpur. The Mandir politics and that Harishankar Tiwari and his friend, philosopher and guide, Surat Narayan Mani Tripathi, these people had a very long history. It started from the Gorakhpur University and then it spilled everywhere. Now, Brahmins today are feeling that they are left out. So, Brahmins again are going to play a very major role. No one can deny that Brahmins anywhere, they may not be directly contesting, but they are a major factor. And even Mulayam Singh Yadav had 12 Brahmin ministers in his cabinet. In 2007, I'm talking.
Okay. So Anandji, the first myth that you're busting is about Arvind Sharma, IAS, coming into Uttar Pradesh, and like a lot of people have been saying that he's been brought there to kind of cut Yogi's wings, and his entire being there is he's Modi's man and Yogi doesn't want him there and all of that. You are saying that is not the case. In fact, it is to the contrary. In fact, Yogi wants him there, and perfect. That's the first thing you said. And the second thing you are saying is, that no, you cannot take anything for granted just because they are in absolute majority this time around. Looking at Uttar Pradesh history, there is a chance that possibly next elections things may not be the same. Brilliant. Now, sir, I want to ask you a question. All these things with this love jihad going on and this crime against women that is happening in Uttar Pradesh, hasn't this affected the governance? Hasn't this affected people's view about the governance?
There are two parts. As far as the love jihad or crime against women is concerned, you talk to any person on the street with a balanced mind and who is not a voter. You don't ask him, where are you going to vote? He will have, in 90% of the cases, he will have that it should not happen. this is wrong. But as soon as you come on the voting, where you are going to vote. Now, this love jihad, this crime against, they all will somehow will manage that it is Hindu-Muslim. It is always when there is a Hindu woman, these people, you people, all these secular forces make a lot of noises. But if there is atrocities against a Hindu girl, you never speak it out. This is the general thing, and which they have been successful till now. The propaganda machine of BJP has been successful till now to get this message clear in the general masses that look, if it is a Hindu girl, they are not bothered. If there is a Muslim girl, they make all hue and cry.
So this polarization, you're saying, Anandji, has almost managed to cover up the love jihad and the crime against women?
One important development has happened. For the first time, we are seeing in last, say, after 2013 riots, Western UP riots, that Muslims and Jat are on the same side. Because traditionally, Muslims, these Jats are the Arya Samajis. They basically, they have old allegiance to Sir Chotu Ram. Then they are primarily Arya Samajis. And they always used to stand against Muslims. But for the first time, you see a very close alliance between Jats and Muslim. And which I feel that BJP must be worried on that part, because their own MLA Sanjeev Balyan was not MLA, their own minister at Central was not allowed to go into his own village. There is another thing which one must understand. We have a Brahmin Rajput, then we have a backward. Now, somehow BJP has been able to manage that other backward caste, OBC. So that one must understand, they have the knack, they know how to manage that. I will just summarize three castes. One is Rajbhar. Rajbhar is a caste which basically they were not known. I mean, Rajbhar is a caste about 20 years back. It was part of another caste. I mean, it is difficult in UP to tell all those details. Now, Rajbhar as a caste has 3% of votes. And they have 19 seats where they can affect the results. Then there is Lodhi, which Kalyan Singh, because of Kalyan Singh, BJP was able to manage that Lodhi vote with them. And the third important factor is Kurmi vote. Now, Kurmi vote generally, traditionally, they vote against Yadav. Traditionally, they are with BJP. But just to manage that vote, they have these BJP, whosoever is a decision maker, have taken Apna Dal along with them, though they have a pocket of influence in 3 or 4 districts, Banaras, Mirzapur, Allahabad and Pratapgarh. But they have given them a lion's share. Surprisingly, Apna Dal is a bigger party in Vidhan Sabha than Congress. They have about 11, if I'm not wrong, they have about 11 MLAs. Whereas Congress has 7. So has 7. So this is one thing, the caste, OBC caste, they have played it very well. And I don't find today that there is anyone else who is able to attract that OBC caste. Because Mayawati, yes, she also had a Rajbhar as the party president recently. She changed from a Muslim to a Rajbhar. But still Rajbhar by and large are with BJP.
So how is Chandrasekhar Azad's clout happening in Uttar Pradesh?
That is, again, I will now come to the 3 major parties. First is BSP. Let us talk BSP. Because BSP has a core voter. BSP in the last parliament was in that Mahagathbandhan where they fought with Sapa, was able to get 10 MPs elected. Now, BJP, I still feel their core voter is more or less there where it was. Chandrasekhar, I am quite surprised. Honestly speaking, I had a lot of hopes on Chandrasekhar being young, being more pragmatic, and he had a lot of views. Somehow, Chandrasekhar has not been able to deliver what we had thought that he has that spark, he has not. In Bihar election, he was silent, and in the major elections, he has been silent. Secondly, Mayawati also does a very strong thing, which she gives a lot of ticket to Muslims. Though she goes and forms an alliance with BJP in past, but somehow when it comes to giving tickets, she gives a lot of tickets to Muslims. Out of 10, 3 Muslims are from BS. Out of 10 MPs which BSP got elected from UP, 3 are Muslims. So this also this is also a factor which is to be understood. Secondly, the only problem with Mayawati is she's not a street fighter. You will never find Mayawati leading agitation or talking. She maximum agitation she will do. She will call a press conference and she will give a press note. Very less of question and answers taken, and that is all the way she functions. Secondly, there is an impression that because of the disappropriation, that those cases, ED and CBI will decide which way Mayawati will go. I mean, that is also an important factor in UP.
That's important factor all over the country. So
all over the country. No, but listen, Mamata Banerjee is a fighter.
Correct.
And they are politicians. Sharad Pawar is a politician. We all know Sharad Pawar has a lot of things in his cupboard. I mean, no, he's not an honest politician. But when it came to that, yet we are sending a ED or CBI, he says, "I'm coming." Correct. So he's a politician. These people are live in their own area. They don't come out. They don't relate with the common men. That is the problem with UP
Correct.
leaders.
Another problem that I see is, are we not talking about too much of caste and community and religion and all of that? Somewhere down the line, development seems to be taking backseat in Uttar Pradesh politics. Is it true?
Yes, it is. Though I mean, it is not right to say, but it is a very sad affair that we don't give votes on development. Why I'm telling you is this: even when it comes to, we never give votes on anything what you have done. We have given so many prime ministers, but you go and see a constituency. You go and see even Atal Bihari Vajpayee's constituency in Lucknow. Nothing major has been done. We had one telco workshop. I mean, the telco manufacturing unit, which was brought by N.D. Tiwari. When he was the prime minister, that telco unit was under lockdown for 1.5 years. Now, can this happen? A prime minister constituency was having a lockdown for 1.5 years.
Correct.
So people here, we don't vote on development. Vikas jisko bolte hain, we don't vote on Vikas. We want our average politician in UP is more bothered about the Thana, about the Kachehari, about the SDM, Thane mein bol dijiye, and people are very sensitive about it. Secondly, people are also sensitive that wo mere ghar mein shaadi pe nahi aaye the. So there are a lot of UP MLAs who have just been elected because unhone kya karte hain, they get about 5,000, 10,000 saris from Surat. Any marriage, they go there, give a sari with a 500, 1,000 rupees note, whatever it is. We call it shagun. They give something and people get elected. There is I will not take a name. People know there is a MP in Congress. The story goes that he had given telephone to that Shamshan Ghat wala, that cemetery and that Kabristan wala. And his only thing was that whenever someone dies, give me a call and I will give you some 50 rupees or 100 rupees on each one. And he was there, present there on every. And people give vote on this. People will never ask what happened to this. So this is a sad affair of UP. I mean, the ground reality is like that.
Quite interesting. But tell me, what exactly is happening to development? Is development happening in Uttar Pradesh? Because I'll tell you, see, a lot of roads that have been built, Akhilesh Yadav has been saying that ये तो भाई हमने किया था, and Yogi Sarkar says नहीं ये हमने किया है. Actually, development हो रहा है? Is development happening?
I will come on that. To be fair to Akhilesh Yadav, though I am a critic of Akhilesh Yadav, because I feel he is not on the street, which he should be, because he is getting a lot of opposition attention. He is getting all these votes, which he should, but he is not on the street. He is not fighting. He is not fighting the case. He is not the face of the farmers' agitation in UP. He is not the face of any agitation in UP. But saying that, I must say that he was one who did a lot of things when he was the chief minister. that Lucknow Noida Expressway and Lucknow Agra Expressway. Then he was one who was pragmatic in giving those computers, laptops at school level and at college level.
Yes.
And which changed the scenario. There's no doubt. After 2 years or 3 years of his rule, he stopped that because the old guard said, no, laptop se kya hoga, isse kya hoga, we don't get votes on this. But yes, he tried on that. He tried on a lot of things. He lost, that is a different thing. But as far as clarity is concerned, he has a clear vision, he's young, but somehow he is not able to communicate with the grassroots worker, which was the biggest strength of Mulayam Singh Yadav. He is not able to take care of his own uncle, Shivpal Yadav. Now, Shivpal Yadav is a man of organization. He was doing all the dirty things of Mulayam Singh Yadav. He was doing all that. But today, when Shivpal on one hand says that we will fight elections with Samajwadi Party, the reply from the Akhilesh Yadav comes that we will give one seat to Shivpal Yadav. Now, this is he has to manage that. He has to manage that.
The general understanding outside of UP is that Shivpal Yadav has been one of the elements that has actually spoiled Samajwadi Party, brought in wrong elements into Samajwadi Party, and somewhere down the line, Akhilesh is cleaning up this. Isn't that true?
I will say that 2007 and 2002, when initially Mayawati became Chief Minister for about a year with the help of BJP, and then 2003 Mulayam Singh became the Chief Minister for the rest of 4 years, and then again 2012. We must understand that it was good, ugly, bad. Whatever people came and it was Shivpal Yadav who was also instrumental in getting those that figure of 2024 or MLAs, whatever it is. So he has his own people in each and every constituency of Uttar Pradesh. Because if he cannot win seats, he can make sure that SP loses certain seats. That is for sure.
Okay. Coming back to my question, is development happening in Uttar Pradesh? Are there roads being built? Are electricity being distributed? Is all of those things?
I will take it in a different way. I come from a district where we had about 5 sugar mills. Today only 2 are functioning. Today means for last 8, 10, 12 years, only 2 are functioning. Yogi Adityanath comes from the district Gorakhpur. We had a fertilizer plant, which is not running for last 20, 25 years. And even Yogi Adityanath as MP of that Gorakhpur had led a lot of agitation, a lot of movements to start that fertilizer plant. Now we have Smriti Irani, one of the stalwarts of NDA government. A lot of plants there in Amethi, in her constituency are not functioning. So if you call it a development, I will not say. I mean, cosmetic, yes. Event-wise, yes. But on the ground, I have my reservations.
Would you say Yogi government's development is better than what Akhilesh Yadav did, or Akhilesh Yadav was better than what Yogi government did? If you have to compare,
I will also to make things so that it becomes easier.
Please.
Now we are talking of that we will bring the film city and the major film making in Uttar Pradesh. That is what has generally been advertised, and a lot of events have been done. Now, tell me one thing. When I visit Bombay, my daughter stays in Bombay. I'm not worried if she comes back from office or from a clinic at 12 o'clock in the night. But in Lucknow, even with my wife, if I go out after 9 or 10 o'clock, even today, I feel that it should be avoided. Let me put it this way. So whatever people may say, a film industry can only come when you give this environment. Now, correct. On one hand, if you say love jihad, on one hand, if you say Valentine and things like that, film industry is not going to come. People are going to come if they feel that the general atmosphere is there. Let me be honest about it.
So again, my question: if you compare Akhilesh to Yogi, who was better as far as development is concerned?
It's a very tricky and a very difficult question. Both have their own advantages and disadvantages. Yogi per se, I must say that there is not even a single charge on Yogi as far as the financial bungling is concerned. On personally Yogi, the government has a lot of charges. They are facing a lot of charges, but Yogi as a chief minister has absolutely clean image. Akhilesh, on the other hand, he was running a government which a party which was primarily of his father's days, and these things that वो कहते थे ना गुंडों की पार्टी है. I will not say gundo hai. What has happened? Even the composition of our basic MLA and MPs have changed. Now today you find a lot of MLAs and MPs coming with a criminal background, and अगर आपके MLAs MPs गुंडे हो गए हैं तो वो गुंडों की पार्टी है और वो किसी में भी हो सकता है. So that is the difference. I will say that part of Yogi, which is on the so he works a lot. There is no doubt on that. But what he's working and what he's doing, he's so much dependent on his bureaucracy, which was not so in Akhilesh Yadav's regime. He had his people's representative. He has a MLA or a minister had say in the running of the government, and that is why I will say, if it is black and white, if you say which will you will, if I have a choice to choose between Akhilesh Yadav and Yogi, I will choose Akhilesh Yadav.
Do you think Yogi will be back?
I will again say there are advantages and disadvantages. When BJP fought 2017 election, there was no chief minister candidate. It was fought on the name of Narendra Modi, which they are doing everywhere in the country. Now today what is happening, even the BJP is feeling that when they went to Bihar, they wanted a chief minister face. Today what is happening, they thought that Saurav Ganguly will be their chief minister face in West Bengal, which is not happening. Same way, Yogi is their chief minister face today in UP. But if Yogi is a chief minister face, as I said, Brahmins are not happy. And Brahmins are a factor in UP politics. No one can deny that.
What about Yogi trying to be the next prime minister? Is that true, or are there rumors too?
There is no doubt that as a common UP wala, I'm telling, who irrespective of party, people want, why not Yogi should be the next prime minister. And people today are feeling that the competition is between Yogi and Amit Shah. Let me be very honest on that.
Correct,
people are feeling that the competition is between Yogi and Amit Shah, and there are reasons to understand this, because at times when it comes to UP, we see there is no protection as far as Yogi is concerned. Something happened in Hathras, something happens elsewhere. Media comes whole log on UP, and they will talk everything on the UP. But
Correct.
when it comes to other states, somehow we feel that those states, those BJP chief minister in other states are protected, which Yogi doesn't have that protection from the center, which I must admit.
So is it that Yogi has that ambition to be the prime minister, and therefore there is a certain level of competition between center and Yogi?
I will say, I mean, it is very difficult to answer, but anyone who is in politics must have that ambition, and nothing wrong in it. I mean, if someone is having ambition, and again, you have not asked that question, but I am answering that. If my choice is between Amit Shah and Yogi, any day Yogi, Amit Shah cannot be, I mean, for running a country like India, any day Yogi, between Amit Shah and Yogi, I am talking.
Acha, okay. So that would be your choice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. Thank you so much for coming to my show.
Thank you, Sujit. Thank you so much.
Thanks.